Guess what? I got a fever.
You give me fever.
So all right, at the 104, I'm gonna take my guy, and I have to admit, like, there's a lot of my guys that I have. I'm a sucker for this guy's in the third round. Watch out, rookie draft. Watch out for this guy. I love doing shit like that. Like, on Sunday pregame shows, I'm like, oh, the Fantasy Pros ECR wide receiver 58 this week, has a chance to, I love that shit, right? So I'm going to go with Tyjae Spears. And before people roll their eyes, let me just go through a little bit of my saga with Tyjae Spears. I had heard of Tyjae Spears before the Cotton Bowl. I play a little C2C, a little Debbie. Like, I heard of him. Like, I knew he was good, right? Obviously, he explodes the Cotton Bowl, surprises probably me and a lot of other people as well. And I think that really put him on the map. I kind of felt like wearing a T-shirt that was like, I liked Tyjae before the Senior Bowl or something like that. I liked Tyjae before it was cool. And then he goes and has a really great Senior Bowl process, right? And is starting to creep up both NFL draft boards. So we hear, but of course, Jesse's going to piss all over that because I'm not in the room next to Harry Roseman hearing that. And also he's creeping up fantasy drafts as well. There are concerns, right? There's at least one confirmed ACL tear. There might have been a second. I think he's doing all he can to dispel, concerns about that. Ran, I think, an under 4.5 at the pro day. So even if you add a little bit onto that, you're looking at like a Tank Bigsby's time of like 4.53 from the combine, right? He can be a 1A in the way that Tony Pollard can be a 1A. Like, to get touches that are planned right, that are not a lot of between the tackles, that are in space, that include pass catching, because he's a very good pass catcher. He's a good route runner for a running back. He's only a 3-star recruit because he was a late bloomer in high school. He's only a fourth-year player because of that year that he lost the ACL. He would have been a 3-year early declare. So there's a lot to like about Tyjae Spears. When I think about like the way that I'm ranking my running backs, it's like, okay, well, this guy's in my tier of running backs like 4 through 7, right? And he's 5, so he's right behind Tank for me. So it's kind of weird, like, my RB5 is highly ranked, so it's like my guy. It's just a guy that I've been in love with that has just been creeping up the ranks. Good speed, really good footwork and agility. He does bounce outside a little bit too much. You do want to see him do that a little less and not fall in love with that and be sort of overconfident about what he can do. Like anybody else who's, not an early declare, there's going to be stuff in the analytic profile that you don't like as far as production and those sorts of things. He is coming from group of 5 competition level. He is not going to have, the play strength that like, a big 220-pound bruiser goes. But when I think about who I'm taking bets on, I feel a lot more confident taking a bet on a guy like Tyjae Spears than I am, say, like a Zach Evans or a Kendre Miller or Roshan Johnson. I'm feeling better about Tyjae Spears. He's a my guy. I'm in love with him. I think even if his value settles in like the 207, I still like that. I don't think that's hype price. I think that's pretty accurate as far as where things are. He's projected as a late day 2 pick, which is more than I can say for a certain running back from Syracuse. So, I mean, Tyjae Spears, he's my first my guy.
I'm going last.
Well, I'll just say this. We talk about his quote unquote pass catching profile. The most catches he's had in a single season has been 22, which is exactly 14 less than that guy in Syracuse. So I'm not saying, and we're not mentioning the fact that he's 200 pounds. That's been the knock on Jahmyr Gibbs. I have him as my RB6 in the class, so I'm right there in that same pocket as you. I just think there's plenty of concerns with a lot of these guys once you get past that into that second and third tier of RBs. But I do like him, so we're similarly ranked. I just I don't know. You took a shot at my guy, so here I am.
What I would say is I did not know Tajay Spears before he went absolutely bananas in the Cotton Bowl, so I cannot put claim to that. But what I will say is, if you are from a place like Tulane and you're in the Cotton Bowl against a blue blood football program in the biggest game that your program has ever had, and you drop your nuts on a program like USC, like he did, I've got to respect it. So in the biggest game, he performed as well as anyone possibly could have. So I'm excited for him. I don't love him. I feel like there's a real chance he could end up in a spot where I would not draft him at all. And there's also a lot of situations where if he is there and the opportunity is there, I would probably reach for him. So at this point, that's shitty advice. And I'm sorry that I have shitty advice for you, but I'm going to need more information because I like him as a player. I don't think he is good enough to overcome certain situations, though.
I can buy that, and I think that's why I said like I want to see him in a place where those touches are well planned. You know, like I like Pollard as a comp for him. I think some people have some other comps for him too, like a better Kenneth Gainwell, a tougher and more versatile James Cook. Some people he reminds them of Jamal Charles or McKinnon or Naheem Hines and people like that. So, you know, these are a type of player. I don't want to see him, you know, Jerry, I'm a Swifter, right? And to see what's happening with Swift is, although some of it's his fault, it's breaking my heart. But you know, I think it's cautionary for guys like Gibbs and Spears when you see what's happening to Swift. And, you know, Spears, you know, exactly the same height and only 3 pounds less than a certain running back from Syracuse and better at him than darting around the field. So I'm not really sure, Jesse, what you're going to say that could possibly refute my love for Tajay Spears.
Brian, it's always a pleasure doing this with you, but I'm going to explain to you methodically why you are wrong. Okay. Implicitly wrong. Okay. So take everything that you just said about Sean Tucker and magnify it by a factor of either from about 30 to 50% for everything that Tajay Spears is and does. Okay. He's extremely raw. When you talk about raw, as far as like vision and setting up blocks and no, he's the dancer.
He's got elite field vision. He sees the whole field better than Sean Tucker does on his best day.
And I mean, he's smaller than Sean Tucker, so you use the size with
3 pounds.
Right. So you use the size as a knock against Sean Tucker, but it's not an issue with Tajay Spears.
Because you're trying to sell me on Tucker as a 3-down back, and I'm not trying to really sell you much on. I'm saying it's a very specific pocket of usage for Tony Pollard. I mean Tajay Spears.
But you have him ranked above Sean Tucker.
One spot
overall. Yeah. When he's not the back that Sean Tucker is. He's
better.
He's I don't think they're even in the same category, really. You know, one is a satellite back and one is a lead back.
Right. You know, like I said, Spears can be a 1A and Tucker might be a committee back on it.
So yeah, I think he does. I think you did say one thing that I really agreed with, and I like Tajay Spears. It's going to sound like I don't. It's just that for you to take all of the negatives that you applied to Tucker that apply to Tajay Spears and just
they don't
put blinders on is amazing. But anyway, what you said was that he needs a schemed up run scheme. Like he needs things to be protected. So yeah, I think he'd be really good with the Eagles. Like a better Kenneth Gainwell makes a lot of sense to me. I think he'd be really good in that scheme. In a more of a gap scheme, I don't think so.
Okay. He's only one spot above Tucker.
Now, I do like him, and you didn't mention the drops that he has on film either.
But to me, he is clearly above Tucker. Like it's not like, there's a tier break or
Mm.
anything, but to me, it's not even a coin flip. Like to me, it's
Really?
like, oh yeah, Spears.
Yeah,
Oh,
see,
yeah.
I see it. I see it exactly the other way.
All right. All right. Back to the